Thank you everyone for joining. My name is Coley Burke. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer with HYCU, and I have Marko Ljubanovic with us, who is our Director of Solutions and Engineering. And we're here to talk about how HYCU and Nutanix help you transform your business, and particularly from our side, how does HYCU data protection help you transform what you're capable of doing in order to protect your data anywhere, protect it everywhere, and also help speed your business into the modern data state. So with that, Marko, next slide. So a quick little bit about HYCU. We are the first and only data protection platform built to truly scale to the world's thousands of applications. We do take pride in the fact that we are data anywhere, protected everywhere. That matches really closely with Nutanix and their run everywhere. So as they run everywhere, we allow the protection of that data to be protected anywhere and everywhere, which is great. So 4,000 plus customers. We operate in 78 countries globally. We have offices and partners all over the world, and we're very proud of our industry-leading NPS score of greater than 90. That's a testament to the solution and the capabilities and the people of HYCU, as we like to call Team Purple. So that's a bit about us. Next slide, Marko. So we have been listed in the Gartner Magic Quadrant 2 years in a row as a visionary. We're very proud of the fact that Gartner is really beginning to recognize the fact that not only does HYCU bring simplified data protection in a hybrid multi-cloud world, we're also beginning to see the fact that they really care about the fact that we bring SaaS data protection to the market, which we'll talk a little bit more about. So from our visionary standpoint, we have transformed the way data protection is operating across the new modern data estate. And very importantly, we are taking on the category of SaaS and how do we drive data protection and resiliency into anything as a service, which Gartner is recognizing now as us as a visionary. Next slide. So when we talk about how we support the modern data estate, it truly is a support of the modern data estate. So what you're seeing here is effectively on-prem, cloud, IaaS, a little bit of the cloud services of database as a service, platform as a service, and then on top SaaS. This is actually a set of applications that we do support. So all of the things you see on this slide, we support for data protection, backup, and recovery. So when we say we are scaling to meet the world's thousands of applications across the modern data estate, it's actually shown in what we bring to market. So we're here to talk about Nutanix, which is great because we have the most comprehensive coverage for Nutanix. But if you're operating with Nutanix in a hybrid multi-cloud environment, and you have a number of SaaS products that you're using to drive your business, know that with the combination of Nutanix and HYCU, you can actually provide data protection across all of that data estate. So that for us is beginning to help you drive transformation. If you've deployed multi-tools for particular data protection use cases, because that's what's available with HYCU and Nutanix, you can begin to consolidate those down to a unified platform. Next slide, Marko. So we see ourselves as the #1 choice for Nutanix data protection. We have a long, rich history with Nutanix dating back to 2017. We were truly the first to integrate into the Nutanix platform, a long history of innovation, change file tracking, fast restore, objects worm, some of the validated designs, all of the different things we have done. But you can see in the bottom right corner, we support the entirety of the Nutanix platform. So we've integrated into Prism. We have very strong use cases with Robo, NC2, NUS, NDB, AHV, Data Lens, all of it. We are completely supported through. So that's what we say. It is a 360-degree view of data protection for a hybrid multi-cloud platform with Nutanix. We truly mean it. Next bullet. And then the last thing, which is very important in today's world, is that we have worked very closely with Nutanix to make sure that we sit inside of their cyber resilience, cyber recovery capabilities. So we wanted to help you with Nutanix when you look at using the Nutanix stack and the Nutanix cloud platform with the HYCU data protection solution. You really can de-risk because we are cutting down the vulnerability because you're inside of a unified stack of solution. Next slide. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Marko, who's going to walk you through the actual product and kind of capabilities and a little bit of how we do fit into Nutanix. So I thank you for joining. Know that for us, Nutanix is a very key partner. We spend a lot of innovation time. We spend a lot of time working with Nutanix to truly bring a transformative message to help you run your business at the speed you need and hit your SLAs, particularly for data protection. So with that, Marko, over to you.
Thank you, Coley. All right, so what I'm here for is to actually give you an overview of why HYCU in more technical details and give you a hands-on experience of how the environment and how our solution looks like, right? Time to start with this. Before we do that, and before I show you the actual UI and everything else, just to mention on top of number 1 point here, right? We have the complete alignment since very early days. Nutanix was the first platform we ever supported, right? We continue building on this, and Nutanix even uses us in their data centers, and their engineering, together with our engineering, is in very close cooperation. Therefore, we also support all the Nutanix versions, new versions as they come out, which is very important for all the Nutanix customers, feeling confident that they can actually update their Nutanix environments when they need to, and know that they still remain protected. All right. That being said, let's talk about why HYCU from more technical aspect. First of all, what is HYCU on Nutanix? HYCU on Nutanix, or when you have data protection on the on-prem world, what you really want to have is a solution and an appliance which is very secure itself, right? Because if somebody can penetrate the data protection appliance, you're not at all protected. And this is what HYCU really is. It's really a lockdown appliance, software-only appliance. You can really even disable SSH. It's always up to date, kept up to date with latest security patches because of our incredibly simple upgrade procedure, which is done in a couple of minutes. So all of this together makes HYCU like a Fort Knox appliance, which nobody can penetrate, right? Which is very important. It's Linux-based, not Windows. And one of the most important verticals for us is federal space. And we have therefore gathered a number of the various certificates, which we are very proud of, which prove, that NSA with NIAP Common Criteria certification tested extensively for more than 2 years HYCU in all of variations, and we are one of the rare data protection solutions that even have this Common Criteria certification, as well as STIG certification, which shows the customer how to further certify and how to further make sure that the appliance is safe and cannot be penetrated. So this is what HYCU is, just a software appliance which you would deploy on top of your Nutanix cluster. And when we talk about in today's world, one of the most important things which we get asked all the time is how can you protect us against ransomware? What is it that we do? And we are, of course, a data protection solution. And ransomware protection comes in many, many layers. Obviously, one of the first layer was that we are a Linux box and that you cannot actually penetrate it. One of the next layers is that we provide air-gapped and immutable storage. So let me show you how this looks like. So first of all, HYCU in its essence is not a storage company, right? We don't want to provide storage. We simply allow customers to own their own storage, and we give them full freedom of choice. So what you can see here is just the sheer amount of different storage target types customers can use to offload their backup data to. And what's interesting here, among all the on-prem targets, NAS boxes, which you could use, Nutanix objects, also any S3 compatible and blob storage is supported in a very direct fashion. So we can have this truly air-gapped with dedicated service account. We can send data directly into public clouds and support also worm on top of all of this. As you see, we can recognize that the particular target has worm enabled, and we have object level locking capabilities on top of this. Another important ransomware protection layer is that you alert customers proactively if something is going wrong, and that you can also check if the data which you have backed up is actually still good, and that it can be restored. So how is that we do this? So what HYCU can do is everything we do is we track changes which are happening. If there's ransomware which is there on the system, encrypting the data, it's going to produce various change rate differentiations. And what you can see here, HYCU can alert, send notifications via webhooks. You can open ServiceNow tickets immediately based on all of this. And if a change rate anomaly is detected, you can immediately react and see what is going on if something is wrong. In a similar fashion, what you can see on the virtual machines here is that HYCU will check also, has the ability to automatically check, validate the backups as well, right? So you can see here validation status is okay. And if we look at the policies, so-called validation policies, which we have, they're very elaborate because they allow you not only to perform restores back into the sandboxed environment and so on, but also have advanced capabilities that allow you to run your own scripts or testing scripts, which can validate that whatever you restored is actually in good shape. And this way you can report and make sure that the data is fully restored. And another thing, when it comes to ransomware, a lot of times the threats themselves come from internal, either by mistake or a lot of times by on purpose by some users, right? And what you really want to have integrated into the platform from the very start, directly built in, is multi-tenancy. And what HYCU has is truly a role-based user management with our multi-tenancy. So what this means is that if you're an MSP, you can provide via multi-tenancy, you can protect multiple customers and give them access to HYCU to perform their own backups and restores. Or you can have offload ownership in your IT organizations to other teams like DevOps, like DB admins, so they don't have to call you for every action when they need to do something. And when you add users to these tenants, it's role-based. So maybe you can just give them a restore operator role that they can perform a restore, but they can't create expired data, or they can't create new users and do something malicious on it as well. So this multi-tenancy is fully baked into the product from the get-go. And as an infrastructure admin here, I can show you, I can switch between these groups. Or if a DevOps administrator logs into HYCU, they can see obviously only their own data. And then based on the role which was given to them, they can perform certain activities. So this all, as you can see, they can assign only a specific set of policies and so on. So really multi-tenancy baked into the product, allowing you to, via role-based user management, to control who has access to the data protection systems. And then on top, what HYCU brings, especially on Nutanix, is some add-on value-add intelligence. So when we talk about instant recovery is very, very interesting, because a lot of times you'll hear products mentioning that they have the ability to start up machines from the backup storage and so on. Problem with these solutions is that when they start it up, you can't actually operate it in a normal fashion, right? You need to slow it, migrate it to the system. It doesn't operate. You can't actually power on all of the VMs, just a couple of them. So we thought, what is the best way to perform instant recovery on these very elaborate and smart platforms which you already have? So there is nothing smarter than a snapshot, especially on Nutanix. So what HYCU allows you to do is, if we have a daily backup, which we are doing, HYCU is going to allow you to keep the data, keep the snapshot around for a couple of days, a week. Why? Just because usually the restores come from within first couple of days when something happens. And these snapshots are not seen in Nutanix. So these are fully managed by HYCU, and they can further save. They've already saved a couple of our customers which made some mistakes, and allowed us, HYCU, to get customers up and running in matter of hours or minutes, actually, in some cases, in case of ransomware attacks. So really instantaneous recovery using the platform itself. Something especially for Nutanix. Another thing which is important in today's world, especially with ransomware, is that you can actually restore the data when you need it in the time frame, which is mandated by the business. And HYCU here really has a very unique functionality which nobody else has. And our policies are SLA driven, as you can see. So policies are rules of backups which you can assign to your complete environment, be it in the on-prem, be it in the cloud, SaaS, whatever. And what we have here is we have the ability to say, look, I need to back up every so often, every once a day, every once an hour. The second parameter is really interesting, though. It tells you how much time you have to restore the data if you lost it. So maybe I can say business mandates that this particular set of important VMs needs to be restored inside 4 hours. And this is really the add-on value of HYCU, that you can specify this in the policy itself. And what HYCU will do is, based on various things like speeds, performance, which we are following using validation methods, using current checking of the targets, and so on, right? What we will do is we will estimate how much time it takes us to restore the data. And you're compliant to your business only if you're inside, as you can see here, estimated time recovery is 24 minutes. So you're inside what was specified in the policy. Therefore, you're compliant to your business. You can sleep tight, you have peace of mind that you can restore the data. And you can actually report also on these compliances directly from the product. So the product has reporting built in. There is no special licensing. There is no special infrastructure which you need on top of this. So you just say, you can get it scheduled on a daily basis, and you can really, as you can see here, drag and drop stuff. And I can say, okay, what my owners are doing, what my DevOps, for instance, team is using as a target, can have different charts and so on. I won't go into details, but the point is all of this is built into the product, so you can report on your daily basis on compliance, for instance, and get an email in your inbox saying everything is green, you're compliant. You not only do backups on time, but you can rest assured you can do restores in time as well. So very special thing as well. And then another important thing in today's world is that we don't have time. None of us have time ever. So you really want to automate as much as possible. And with HYCU policies, and the way we add Nutanix as a source into HYCU, we have the ability to integrate with Prism Central as well. So what this means is that you have the ability to have something we call auto assignment, right? So based on the Prism Central categories, for instance, this can be a environment, dev, for example, or something. So it's it's a label or a category which uses a Prism Central, which you can have a process when whoever creates a Prism Central VM creates a category as well. And HYCU is automatically going to, based on these tags, categories, assign the appropriate policy and make sure it's protected out of the box, right? And even if something is forgotten or a user forgets to put a category, we do have a concept of default policy, so everything will kind of a catch-all thing, so that you don't have those conversations, hey, did you back up this VM? You didn't, you forgot, and so on, right? So really automation baked into the product from the get-go. Also, everything we do in HYCU is fully exposed from the REST API perspective. So REST API built first, everything is exposed, so any type of automation, scripting, you want to do some custom things, everything is fully doable, as you can see here. So Swagger fully available here. All right, so let's now dive into some other very unique HYCU solutions that we bring on top of Nutanix that can help you with various use cases, right? So one of the things which we built together with Nutanix is their Nutanix change file tracking API. What does this mean? So when HYCU is backing up, protecting Nutanix files, we will snapshot the Nutanix files, same as we would do in case of a VM backup, right? Snapshot the VM, and then use change block tracking for VM. In case of files, we will do change file tracking. Ask Nutanix, give us the change files. We will catalog these files, capture the ACLs, compress the data, and back it up, right? What this means is that we are not traversing the whole file tree. We don't take 5 hours just for an incremental backup of a couple of files. We will get these couple of files from Nutanix in a matter of seconds and simply back them up, right? So very simple solution there, very native to Nutanix. So utilizing your platform to the fullest. And it's built to scale really over the years. So we have a concept called instances, which allows us, these are practically data movers, which allow us to scale up and scale out with your Nutanix platform. So we do support other Nutanix, other filers as well, like Isilon, NetApps. If you want to move data around, that's also something which you can do. So multi-threaded for speed and efficiency. And this, I can show you how things look like in HYCU, right? So very simply, you have a Nutanix file share. As I mentioned, you have restore points here, and you can perform granular recovery from your backups, from your archives, wherever the data was. So because it's cataloged, we will immediately show you everything which is there, and you can restore it back into the file server, file share, download, simply overwriting the files, skipping them, and various other options there. So basically, Nutanix files and everything we do with Nutanix files is very native and allowing you impact-free backup. So not something you need to do only during the nights. You can actually do it hourly during the work days when the data is being created inside Nutanix file ships. Another interesting concept in Nutanix is a metro situation. So a lot of customers are transitioning from ES6 metro into the AHV metro, which is, very matured over the years now. And what's interesting is what happens in the case of a metro setup. The VMs can move between different cluster nodes, right? So it can move from one node to another, and it's still the same machine. Obviously, it's still just failing back from among them, right? What's interesting about HYCU is that we are the only solution that is able to recognize this move between the clusters and continue protecting the VM as the same virtual machine. Whereas other solutions might find this as a separate VM, need a different backup, assign a different policy, and so on and so on. It would be very hard to find the data, actually. A lot of these setups also involve VPCs of Nutanix, and HYCU is also the only solution to support Nutanix VPCs as well, virtual private cloud networks as well. So a number of these special things which HYCU has built into the product. Another one of these is application awareness and how HYCU protects applications in general, and then how we integrate with Nutanix database service as well. So let's talk about the HYCU applications first, right? So what HYCU has is a patented approach to discover and protect applications. What does this mean? This means that instead of you having to tell us where you run your systems, where your databases are, where are the logs, where are the database files. What you do is you simply assign credentials to the HYCU VM, and we start something called discovery job. Once this discovery job completes, under application view, you can see all the applications which you have in your system. And then you can assign a policy to the application, and HYCU is the one making sure the database is adequately protected, meaning application consistently will quiesce the database, do all the backups, freeze snapshots, unfreeze the database, truncate the logs, so really by the book, providing you the ability without any agents, mind you, so nothing that we ask you to install on these machines ever. We do this all remotely in a patented fashion, allowing you at the end the ability to restore the whole server or a single file, or granularly a single database into a point in time, replaying the logs which you need to get you just before disaster happened. Now, this all applies in a very similar fashion to the Nutanix databases, right? Nutanix databases are a great product which helps you manage and create many of these databases, providing also the time machine to get you into the point in time. So what HYCU is able to do is build on top of NDB, because Nutanix database keeps only snapshots on Nutanix. What you want on top of NDB is to provide a true 3-2-1 backup, having archives, having backups on storage external to Nutanix, right? And this is where HYCU can come in, because what we can do is we can say, look, don't truncate the logs, don't back up the logs. NDB is handling this. You just make sure it's consistently backed up, and then allow you to perform granular recovery, right? And what enables us to perform this type of backup in the NDB world is the fact that we are the very only solution that is able to protect Nutanix volume groups, where the data is kept in case of NDB. So HYCU, when backing up a machine, which is managed by the NDB, which has volume groups attached to it, HYCU is going to automatically recognize the NDB disks and the volume groups, and it's going to automatically in the same session pick up the volume groups and back them up as well. So really what it does, it allows the NDB to perform to its fullest, because you don't have to keep months and months worth of snapshots. You keep 7 days of snapshots on NDB and let HYCU with patented app awareness and have a true 3-to-1 data protection on top, providing you a simple database recovery as well. And then there is a special feature solution which we've developed for Nutanix robo sites, so remote office branch offices. This is actually a feature which we developed for Nutanix IT, which uses us internally as well. And what they use also, same as many of our customers, is they have robo sites, remote sites, which are configured with Leap or protection domain replication copying for disaster recovery purpose into the main data center, their copies, so that they can be powered on in case of disaster. This is also where they keep the storage in the main data center. And what you would expect a normal solution to do is to install something on each of these sites, manage something on each of these sites, and copy the data into the targets, which are at the data center. And this is exactly what we did for Nutanix IT, where they said, why are you copying this data again when we have already copied it, right? So what HYCU since then did, it is able to understand the replication of Nutanix and leverage the replicas of the VMs for the backup, which means if you're backing up a Robo1 VM, we will back it up from its replica in the main data center, which means you don't have to have anything in the Robo sites installed at all. So you're cutting completely your management costs and infrastructure costs on that side. You're not going to transfer the data again, so you're cutting your WAN costs as well. And when it comes to recovery, we can recover it back into the Robo site, or in case of bigger disaster, we can also restore it into the data center. So really elaborate, comprehensive solution for remote office and branch offices, which can be applied to many other situations like production and DR, backing up everything from the DR site, never touching production, and similar use cases. So again, very, very special feature, natively built for Nutanix. And as a last thing to mention, in today's era, in today's world, we all move from platforms to platform. We all want to have avoid the lockdown and have the ability to perform disaster recovery, either from ES6 to HV, or we want to move from physical and be able to restore them, for instance, into Nutanix. We want to do a restore from on-prem into NC2, Nutanix clusters, or why not even into public cloud? So all of this is something that HYCU seamlessly enables you to do, right? How is this? Simply by selecting restore, you're able to restore the machine from ES6 into HV, from Nutanix, from VMware into HV, right? So when restoring a VM, or when what you do is you would clone the VM and simply select where do you want to restore it. And HYCU is going to do all the manipulation in this case, right? If this was a physical backup, again, the same thing, we are doing physical backup via VSS, LVM snapshots, so snapshot based, so we can again do all the conversions and get you into Nutanix. And then if you want to do a restore into public cloud for disaster recovery purposes, for instance, or if you want to migrate some of the data into public cloud before the hurricane comes, like a number of our customers had to unfortunately experience, you can do that as well. So we can allow you to spin up the VM into any of the public clouds simply by selecting the cloud account which you have running in the public cloud. You select, as you can see, we can select the project and the region where do we want to restore the data into. And HYCU is going to do all the conversions on the fly, right? So if I want to restore into Asia, into a different zone, I can do that from the get-go, right? And what HYCU is able to do is it will convert all the images, power on the machine in the public cloud. And on top of all of this, it will allow you to control costs from the very beginning, which is something very important if you're going to public cloud. So based on the cores and memory which you can change, we will automatically allow you to select type of a VM which you want to run, the network adapters, everything, to make sure that the VM which you power on in the cloud is what you really need and want. They're controlling fully the cost. And in the true multi-cloud fashion, we allow you also to do a spin up from cloud as well. So you can continue using our cloud platform, which I'll show you in a sec. You can continue protecting this data in Google, in Azure, in Amazon, and then also spin it back up into your Nutanix after the disaster, for instance, passes. Okay, so we'll skip this and we have to have maybe even a more dedicated cloud session to show you everything we can do with our SaaS platform and SaaS backups. Really elaborate functionality because it allows you to protect the widest range of SaaS applications in the industry today, from Jira's, Okta's of the world, to Office and obviously Workspace, but many other as a service applications running on top of Google or Amazon or Azure. And not only that, but able to, using our rgraph functionality, is able to discover also these workloads through Okta integration and AD integration and show you what kind of applications you have running in your systems.
Great. Thank you, Marko. Looks like Murphy has indeed
yes.
hit you on your demo lab environment.
Yep.
So thank you, everyone. We appreciate you joining. If you would like to see an additional demo on our cloud and the capabilities, particularly around SaaS, you can do that. We would be happy to schedule that. If you are attending Nutanix.next, please come visit us. We will have a booth there. You can meet Marko in person.
Yes.
If you would like to try HYCU for Nutanix for free, we have an ability to do that as well. So if you'd like to kind of try this and play with it, please do. And if you're interested in understanding, excuse me, what your environment looks like in terms of your SaaS and as a service, subscribing to rgraph is very simple, very easy to deploy. It's a free tool. It's a great way for you to understand what you have. So thank you very much for joining. Marko, thank you for the time. We appreciate your time here today. And if you'd like to learn more, please reach out. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.